Hi, and welcome to GerrisCast. My name is Chris Abraham,
And I'm Dan Krueger.
and this is episode 1. We're going to be calling it Brand Promotion PR. Today we're talking about influencer marketing, which is the hottest thing under the sun right now. And we wanted to address the different variations of influencer marketing and discuss how it has been interpreted by different agencies and different companies, and discuss some of the more popular variations and also go into the variations that we're associated with. My name's Chris Abraham, and Dan Krueger is my partner at Gerris Corp. We have been an online public relations company, online marketing, brand promotion, and brand protection company since 2012. But we had worked previously. When did you start at Abraham Harrison, Dan?
I believe it was 2008, 2007 or 8. So we've been working together for quite a few years now, over a decade, doing influencer marketing, among other things, many other things.
But when I found Dan, it was really cool. He was doing some really cool stuff. He does a lot of cool stuff, and in fact, half the stuff that he's expert in, we don't even use enough of. But he was working for a service agency that worked with Second Life. Would you
Yep.
share a little bit about that?
Sure. So I worked for a company called the Electric Sheep Company. My background is actually media communications, and I worked in the television industry for a number of years as a producer. And it's a feast or famine industry, as are most media industries or media companies. But what happened was I was looking for work, and Second Life started becoming the sort of hot thing at the time in 2006, 2007. It was pre-Facebook really hitting mainstream. Twitter was just starting as well. And it was so really pre-social media. And a lot of companies were looking to put their businesses into something. They didn't want to be like the music industry missing out on MP3s, and which MP3s are sort of outdated at this point anyway. But a lot of media companies and just companies in general were looking for other ways to promote their businesses. And Second Life was coming up. The Electric Sheep Company was sort of the mediator in between the company and Second Life. We had builders and scripters, and I was basically a producer, like a television producer, but a producer in Second Life. So we were able to put in some pretty big companies like Ben and Jerry's and Pontiac and HBO and Showtime and that sort of thing into Second Life by building their brand in that particular virtual environment. Second Life didn't last too long. It's still around, but just sort of for a very niche group. So it kind of, once it fizzled, that's how I found Chris. We had a mutual connection, and the previous company we worked for was looking for someone to be the director of client services, which I came in and was able to help out doing that for a number of years. We also had some pretty big clients as well, including Fresh Air Fund and what else, Chris?
Alzheimer's. We had Mizuno. No, Mizuno was after that.
Yeah,
we had Kimberly
Snuggle.
Clark, Snapple, Snuggle Creme or Snuggle Fabric Softener.
Yep. So basically, coming into this company, our previous company, we focused heavily on influencer outreach. But this was before there were social media influencers, so it was more blogger outreach when everyone had a blog, and we would reach out to bloggers on behalf of a particular company and give them either the gift of information, of exclusive information, or or something physical or something virtual that they could use and share with their readers. And it was a great way to promote their brands.
That's a perfect segue to why the organic way we developed this system, which still relies heavily on people having a web-based HQ, right, Dan? Is we've designed it. I came from a company called New Media Strategies where we did online brand promotion through message boards and forums. And then I transitioned to Edelman Public Affairs, and there we did PR. We found people, we engaged them, we activated them, we got them excited about products and services, we got them excited about political aspirations, we got them excited about movements. And then when I came over to start my own company, which started out as Abraham PR back in 2006, I embraced public relations as a way of communicating to people online. And I went ahead and I did that awful thing they tell you never to do in public speaking, which is I looked on Wikipedia and found that PR is the practice of deliberately managing the spread of information between an individual, an organization, and the public. Public relations may include an organization or individual gaining exposure to their audiences using topics of public interest and news items that do not require direct payment. This differentiates it from advertising as a form of marketing communications. And we'll talk about that in a second, because that's sort of where blogger outreach, which has become influencer marketing, has gone. Public relations is the idea of creating coverage for clients for, quote, free, rather than marketing or advertising. For example, an example of good public relations would be generating an article featuring a client rather than paying for the client to be advertised next to the article. The aim of public relations is to inform the public, prospective customers, investors, partners, employees, and other stakeholders, and ultimately persuade them to maintain a positive or favorable view about the organization, its leadership, products, or political decisions. In marketing, brand promotion refers to any type of marketing communication used to inform or persuade target audiences of the relative merit of a product, service, brand, or issue. The aim of promotion is to increase awareness, create interest, generate sales, or create brand loyalty. Like, this basically defines the heart and soul of Gerris Corp and Abraham Harrison before it, because we really believe that you can't use influencer marketing to sell widgets. You really need to have targeting right. You really have to find the right people. You have to make the right connections. You have to be attentive. You have to be loving. You have to create an amazing message model. Dan is an actual gifted genius on that. And then you have to be persistent and stick with them and be a brand friend, if you will. And so, how have you seen influencer marketing change over the last decade, Dan?
So, like I said before, starting with bloggers, and we focus on bloggers quite often. We still focus on bloggers, but really, I think influencers, obviously is like this hot media marketing term, but because there's so many different that people can be an influencer in, whether it's Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, and Twitter, and Twitter's a huge one as well. That being an influencer is having an audience to talk to and being able to influence them to become loyal to a particular brand or try something that you've tried that you would like them to try as well. So I think blogs used to be that sort of not that you'd have to be a good writer to have a blog, right? But to be an influencer now, you don't get nice photos. You can be witty in 180 or 260 characters and develop a following that way. So it's changed quite a bit. Where it started as writers or people that would have a blog that would focus on a particular topic, now it overlaps a lot more these days, I would say.
Well, I guess I meant more along the lines of how has it become more advertising than public relations is what I meant. I mean, we reach out primarily using. I mean, we do a lot of stuff where we reach out directly via DMs and via contact info that's in some higher influencers YouTube and Instagram sites. But in many ways, we still reach out via the web-based HQ, right? We find their email addresses, we engage them via email, we communicate that way. When we're never really on the phone with them or buying them lunch or anything like that. It's a very virtual engagement. And so even though people do have, their YouTube channels and their Instagrams and their Snapchats and their Twitters and so forth and their Facebook pages, most of the time they all have HQs where they bring that stuff together, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what I meant to say is that there was
Yeah, no, you were 100% right. Yeah, we do engage. That seems to be, that is the sort of the hub, the easy way we can target a large group of and then engage them directly.
For example, Dan is casually an elite athlete. Just so matter of fact, he scores nationally every year in CrossFit. And so, in the morning before he even starts, before he even has his first cup of coffee, he's done, things called ladders and kipping and things that make other people vomit and want to sleep for the rest of the day. He's done for fun. So as a result, he has a casual, friendly community of people in the elite athletic space, and also since he helps run a CrossFit box, is what they call a gym. He also understands and has casual relationships with people who are aspiring elite athletes. And so in things like that, and in running, and in biking, and in that sort of space, we have that kind of personal relationship where we can call people we know and reach out to them that way. Same thing with me. If you want to reach an influencer who's an influencer of influencers, I generally know those people. Meta influencers, not necessarily influencers on a particular vertical, but still, our vision is always to make sure the person falls in love with what we're promoting, and then decides that they want to share that with the people that they're working with, which requires the onus is upon us, right, Dan, to create an environment that facilitates that movement forward, so that they don't have to. You said bloggers have to really write well. Well, our job primarily has been to try to pre-masticate, which is a fancy word for having mom chew the food for you. Pre-masticate as much content as possible, so it's as close to copy and paste as. We don't endorse copying and pasting, but sometimes you just need to make it easy so that someone can write their own blog posts in as little as time as possible. It's not ghostwriting. It's sort of like being a professor's assistant, a right-hand person trying to facilitate the movement forward.
It's giving them the information that our client or the business or company that we're working with is trying to get across to the masses in a easily digestible and, if relevant, copy and pastable format, whether it's images or copy or video. We would love if we're looking at bloggers or even influencers in other verticals, take that information and then write their own thoughts or conclusions on that, whatever it is that we're trying to promote. That's ideal, but in the sort of worst case scenario, or even best case scenario at some points, if they just post what we give them, that's great, and that becomes, it helps search engine optimization, and it's also just getting our client into seen by the eyes and followers of that particular influencer.
I'm glad that you mentioned that. That was a beautiful transition too, because one of the problems with advertising-based influencer marketing is it tends to be ephemeral. if a client doesn't see immediate sales of widgets upon the first week associated with the campaign, when someone is promoting weight loss tonic or a particularly amazing copy of a pair of leggings, then because they're using things like Instagram, and they're using things like Instagram stories that disappear in 24 hours, or Facebook stories that disappear in 24 hours, Twitter and so forth. There seems to be that first bang. But one thing that we have by focusing on more persistent sharing, such as blog posts and magazine posts and unboxings and sharings on YouTube, which is still the second most important search engine after Google, is the secondary effect of and we also, when we're promoting books and other things, we actually encourage and follow up with people to write reviews on Yelp, write reviews on Amazon and Goodreads. We tag them and ask them if they've had a good experience to go review on Amazon. We don't write the content. We don't tell them what to say. We just take that extra step of trying to make sure that instead of footprints on the sand that are washed over by the tide every night, that in many cases it's more like the tracks that we see persistent in stone. 100,000 years later, after the crazy wildebeest walked through permanent footprints that people can then find later. If I'm searching for best structured shoes on YouTube, running shoes, I'm hoping I find Mizuno's. Or if I'm looking for the best plant-based protein powder, I'm hoping I find TB12, Tom Brady's protein, when I do a search. And I know that works because when we did the promotion for TB12 plant protein, I get so many visitors to chrisabraham.com where I did a review of the protein. People are looking for information, and because there's not that much information out there, still, people are finding information because there's not that much organic information. People are finding the information that we, during our campaign, were able to get people to use to promote. And I know that from a fact because my site's pretty low traffic, chrisabraham.com. And most of the traffic right now and for the last 3 months has come from TB12, my review of TB12 plant-based protein. So that secondary effect that Dan mentioned, which is SEO, is hugely important. And sorry to be such a chattermouth, Dan.
No, you're 100% right. And that's that's where we started. Just basically was reaching out to bloggers and getting reviews, posting the information that we give them, which takes us to that's another thing of how we give them that information. A lot of times we'll create a microsite, which is we used to call an SMNR, essentially, where we can direct them to that easily digestible, easily copy pastable, all the information that the client is trying to get across from the who, what, when, where, why of that particular client, so that we give that influencer the opportunity to find or use any of the information about that brand. So yeah, and that again helps with search engine optimization, because then when you search for something in that genre, whether it's plant-based protein or whatever, or running shoes, the more people that have been writing about that or posting about that, it becomes more relevant and it helps SEO.
Yeah, and the thing is that we get a lot of people who come to us asking to do this as a way of getting text-based links, but this is really organic, opt-in public relations. Since we're not throwing $2,500 at someone, there's no contract that they have to write a positive review. Some people are real pros, and I put pros in quotes because it makes our clients happy, but nobody we work with has ever been in any obligation to say anything nice. In fact, we've never put them under any obligation to say anything at all. Like when we send them a bag of plant-based protein, it doesn't come with a contract that they need to sign. And in fact, they don't sign any contract before we send them the tester. There's no obligation of saying anything nice. There's no obligation. And the pros rather say nothing than something bad. But, there's been, we just got an email from someone over at TB12 saying, not the best review, but good earnest stuff, like good review. And, we like clients like that.
Yeah, that's the thing is the client is pretty confident in their particular, whatever it is, whether it is the protein or we had another client that we sent out coconut oil. We had another client that we sent out these sort of USB kind of, Chris, you can explain that one a little better, but sort of boot systems. But the client is usually really confident in whatever they're trying to promote, that they think that these influencers will write nice stuff about them. And yeah, not everyone that we send things to is actually going to come through, but a large portion of them. That's the idea, is to get these physical items or virtual items into the hands of these influencers so they can write about them and make the brand more popular organically. We call it earned media. We're not paying people to do it, but we're giving them the opportunity to do it.
Yeah, there's a new like GPS sports watch that's like I've seen working hard to try to compete with Sunto and Garmin. I don't know if you've seen it out in the wilderness. It's like, I don't even remember the name of it, but you can see that they're having a hard time. Like DC Rainmaker is a guy who reviews all the tech, and like he's like, kind of buggy right now. I don't know, but even when it is, even when an objet like this GPS doesn't have the best review now, people are willing to say things like, it's an upstart, it's a startup, it's trying to compete with two huge brands, it's trying to be simpler, it's trying to appeal directly to the ultra running community. Like even if you're a really good PR person, you get people to kind of get on your side and root for you, right? So even though people aren't willing to BS the public, there are a bunch of new ultra runners that are promoting. You can tell that they're being paid brand ambassadors for this new watch, but everybody around it on YouTube are writing. Has anybody online too, on Reddit and everywhere? Have you heard anything about this? What has DC Rainmaker said? Oh, DC Rainmaker says meh. Like people don't realize that there's a huge amount of secondary conversation. In many ways, the influencers that we get to write about your product through persuasion, encouragement, and darn right spoiling are the catalysts to create this chain reaction that results in the super fans, the excited people, the fanboys, the Redditors, the dumb new podcasters like Dan and me to talk about it. Like if you don't get the buzz started, then the buzz ain't going to get started on its own. It's not a world where if you build it, they will come, unless you are, unless you're a rogue, right? Rogue can do anything. Of course, Rogue or even Concept 2 can do anything, and everybody's gonna be like, oh my God, Concept 2 just made a bike based on the, based on the rowing machine. People talk about that, or whatever Rogue does. People
Rogue
care
does
about.
a lot of stuff. Rogue is basically creates apparel and fitness equipment that is super high quality, but a lot of times very high priced as well. So some things that they come out, I saw an ad, I forget what it was for exactly, but it was something that was super overbuilt that Rogue created. I think it was the cross between a GHD and I forget the name of the piece of equipment where you sort of bring your leg up behind you. It was a dual piece of equipment, but it was so overpriced that really, I mean, unless your gym is completely just maxed out in Rogue equipment and you're making a lot of money.
I saw the review on one like home gym place. He bought it and he's like, what am I going to do with this? Because basically all it does, right? It basically, remember when you were a wrestler. We were both wrestlers. You know that one really important workout where you kind of hang your upper body over kind of a it kind of has this. It's kind of a padded thing that looks like
Pommel horse type thing,
like a pommel horse, and you put your body over it, and you do back extensions, right?
Yeah.
And it kind of works your hammies, your glutes, and your lower back. Like it was something like that like was supposed to work your glutes, your hamstrings, and your lower back. And it was just this hugely very precision, only one thing type of.
Oh, it's called a hyper reverse machine and a GHD. This is basically it's the Rogue Donkey, and it's like 12. Yeah, it's almost $2,000. So it's basically just it's this overbuilt piece of it. You'll see it at the CrossFit Games probably, but not many other places.
Oh, I see it. There it is. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Rogue Donkey. When you buy it, you'll feel like an ass.
Exactly.
My goodness, dude, that is the most. That's gonna. There's gonna be cockroaches that survive the apocalypse that work out on that thing.
Exactly.
Well, I want to make sure that we only take up about half an hour. Are there any parting words? Like, I know that what we haven't addressed, and I think we'll make this a part one of part two. What we haven't addressed is where the market has gone and how Madison Avenue has affected it. I will say one thing, because if this is at all controversial, and I don't expect anybody actually listening to an episode 1, so we'll probably be able to do this episode again at episode 10 or 20. But I do get why influencers want to be paid. I see that they believe that we're taking advantage of them by getting, quote, stuff for free from them. I see that when they argue for payment, they believe, and I agree now, I can see it, that what we're paying for is not the review, but for access to them and access to their time. We're paying them, if you will, the equivalent of bringing them in and asking them a bunch of questions. We're not telling them what to say, but we're just taking them off the road when they could be doing something that generates income for them and their family. So I get it. But I think we'll go more into that and what we've seen in that space more in the next episode. But I'm really happy to get one in the can. How do you feel about it? Are you excited to be part of GerrisCast, or do you think this is a really bad idea that we're not going to follow through on?
No, it's good. It's good, and I'm glad we did it today. So,
hey, where can you find more information about Gerris Corp, Dan?
That would be GerrisCorp.com or Gerris.
No, you don't have to do that, but GERR.is. We have a page on Facebook and on Twitter, but I'm going to make Dan promise me, and I'm going to promise Dan that we're going to be better at using those platforms as opposed to just accidentally sharing my workouts and other dumb things like that. So,
and I think what would also be a good idea is for Chris to do a short blog post about this particular episode as well, or every episode. That way we can reach everyone, the readers and the listeners.
That's exactly what I'm going to do. It's going to be uploaded to gerris.is/blog. GERRIS/ no. You know what? I created a separate page for this.
There's a podcast and blog page.
Yeah, GerrisCorp.com/podcast. Yep. And that's where it'll be, and I'll include notes. And I will. I'm excited to see this first one. I'm going to go edit it and upload it. And you have a great day. Dan is working a camp this summer. He and his family are at this destination camp helping the young bucks and the young ladies to become amazing athletes, and his daughter and son attend as well. And it's a little bit of a Shangri-La when it's not by a lake when it's not raining.
Exactly.
And he's suffering right now from a hole in his roof. So I'll let him go deal with that. I dare say I think he told a bunch of workers to be quiet for this episode. So on that note, thank you for coming to episode 1 of GerrisCast. We're happy to have you here. Let us know what you think in the comments. Let us know how the sound sounds. and we'll talk to you next Wednesday. We're going to be doing this every Wednesday for the rest of our entire lives until we're grayer and older. Amen. Talk to you guys soon.
Thanks,
Have a
Gerris.
great day. I'll talk to you later, and goodbye.